here is the story how me, your resident noodle-arm twink, got tasked with building together this heavy and fragile specialized piece of machinery. Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Hello Studios, and today we are combining Littlest Pet Shop with 3D printing. Now first things first, this video is going to be in two parts. So this first part's going to be more of unboxing the 3D printer, assembling it, showing the sculpture we're going to be doing, printing out the sculpture, just seeing how everything works, and then the following video will be more of like the customizing part where we paint the sculpture, sculpt on the sculpture, you know, do the artistic stuff we're gonna do with it. This video is made possible by LA who is a manufacturer of these machines. So I'm creating it in collaboration with this brand. So everyone say thank you, LA because now I own a 3D printer and I can show you all the cool stuff you can do on it with it. Again, this is a sponsorship by LA, so if you feel inspired to try 3D printing at any time while watching this video, feel free to check the description. I've got an affiliate link. Portion of that does go to me, so it supports the channel. It also supports LA, and you also get to 3D print, so it's a three-way win. This is a pretty challenging, intensive project for me personally. A little bit different than the usual videos because I am a person that has zero experience whatsoever with 3D printing. Despite how detailed this machine is, it was very user-friendly when building together. Again, I'm a perfect test subject for this because this is literally my first time even touching a 3D printer. The hardest part was just kind of making sure I was doing everything correctly, but between the written manual guide, the YouTube videos, and LAGU's tutorial as well, I was really confident this was built together like how it was meant to. It's engineered very well for a beginner to figure out. If you do get this printer, I'm linking below the 3 tutorials I used from Kaza Creates, Just Print, and Everything STEM. So Littlest Pet Shop and 3D printing has been a topic that has been discussed a lot in this community before. Littlest Pet Shop is a toy brand that recently rebooted. So for many years before that, people really only had to rely on the vintage brand to have bases to customize and collect. As a kind of natural progression of this as time went on and like bases got more sparse, they also became more expensive. So 3D printing your own Littlest Pet Shop was a great way to kind of save some money. So there's various artists that have popped up over the years that either recreate LPS molds, sculpt their entirely brand new molds, or just sell the files of the sculpted molds. In particular, I own 3D printed LPS custom dragons from the very talented Laylina Customs, Alyssa. She used to primarily sculpt 3D printed LPS Customs, now she's more into sculpture in general, but an incredible account. And in general, Littlest Pet Shop not covering every animal on our planet. A lot of people got inspired to kind of, you know, create their own. So you've seen stuff popping up like hyenas or even like dinosaurs and stuff. And this brings me to my friend Sunny from SunFlowerPetShop. So again, I don't know how to 3D sculpt. I want to learn. I want to learn so bad. But for this video specifically, Sunny and I are collaborating together to create and bring you a Borzoi mold. Now Sunny is a lot like Alyssa, except she exclusively makes Littlest Pet Shop molds. I'm sure if you're in the LPS community over on Instagram, you've probably heard of Sunny. Incredible artist, incredible person, super involved in our community. She used to mostly just do illustrations and animations, but now she runs Sunny's Pet Garden, where she releases monthly batches of specifically Littlest Pet Shop style designed sculptures for customizers like myself to purchase and paint. So she's kind of like a supply, like a mold supplier. Her stuff is crazy. I don't know how she does it. She makes sculpts so quickly with such cool inspiration. And every once in a while over on Instagram, I collaborate with Sunny. I paint, you know, one of her molds. We do kind of dual post so people can see how the mold looks painted, so they can kind of head over to her shop and buy it for themselves if they want it. So this kind of worked out as like a perfect collaboration because I don't know how to 3D sculpt, but I specifically really wanted to create a Borzoi LPS mold for this video. So a Borzoi is a dog breed. It doesn't actually exist as an official Littlest Pet Shop. The Borzoi is a Russian hunting dog. It was specifically used for wolf hunting. Fun fact. It's also known as the Russian wolfhound. People kind of know it for its derpiness, its long schnoot. So I think I first saw Borzois getting popular within the LPS community through Tail Napkin, who illustrated a Borzoi in the LPS style, and then I saw Pumpkin's Customs. He turned that design specifically from an anteater, modifying it. So it's been kind of a popular trend to turn an anteater head and a greyhound body and create yourself a Borzoi. One of the wackiest head swaps that's just genius. But I bet you can imagine modifying this LPS anteater to look like a Borzoi is quite difficult. It's not something I've done before. I think everyone would really appreciate it's just a sculpted Borzoi that's just like a little bit more user-friendly, so you can just kind of paint one. But I specifically wanted a Borzoi for a character that I am making for my Littlest Pet Shop film series. So one of the characters is specifically like a Borzoi breed. And I was just thinking, oh my goodness, this is the perfect opportunity to kind of make this character and also benefit the community with a Borzoi. The LPS community needs a Borzoi. I was kind of already talking to Sunny before, seeing if she'd make a Borzoi, insisting probably too much that she should make a Borzoi. But with the arrival of this 3D printer collaboration, there was literally never a more perfect time for this to work out. So huge thank you to SunFlowerPetShop for agreeing to completely sculpt an LPS Borzoi mold for this video. And I just want to say this Borzoi mold is not exclusive to me. It'll be released at the same time this video goes up. So please, oh my goodness, please, go support SunFlowerPetShop. Support her Sunny's Pet Garden. She's got incredible stuff. You know, support small artists. This is literally like the coolest purchase you could make. I've painted her sculpts a lot before. They're all exceptionally made. Just, I can't recommend enough. And you can get your very own Borzoi. The whole sculpture process on Blender kind of flies over my head because I haven't really used the program, but Sunny was kind enough to film a small time-lapse doing it, and here I'll just let her speak for a second about her inspiration and thoughts while creating the mold.
Hi, Sunny here. Kind of just wanted to give a little bit of a narration as to how I came up with the mold. First of all, I try to steer away from looking at other LPS customs that had been made, just so that I don't accidentally make it too similar or anything. And one of the things that I remembered people had done though was that the ears were very like folded back, and I wanted to give it more of a floppy ear look, so that'd be a little bit more different. I wasn't too sure how other people had done this now, but I wanted to make it like a nice, smooth little shape, recognizable shape. I always try to make them pretty distinct and or recognizable for all my molds. And so, yeah, I just tried to pay special attention to where the dog has like fluffier bits like around the paws or around the chest area, and less so around the head, for example. And one of the things that happened because of me not looking at LPS customs or other people's customs was that I kind of didn't realize that I made the tail a little too curled up. It seems to me that I had I looked at a reference picture that wasn't actually a Borzoi and just more of a breed that was close to it. But I looked at it and I really liked the look, and I was like, oh, you know, I haven't really seen this, I don't think. And so, and I thought it just made it look more happy, but turns out that I was a little bit wrong. So, from when I actually released the Borzoi, the tail will be a little bit different. When I told Audie this, there was no issue because Audie's gonna make something entirely different and cool with it, I'm sure. But yeah, just wanted to add that little tidbit in. And yeah, using Blender, I think it's very cool and fun for me because it makes me feel as if I'm modeling in clay. And I really like modeling with clay. It's just, I grew up doing it a lot, but I no longer did it because of all the materials that I needed and how, it dries kind of fast, and the water and just smoothing it out, and the fingerprints that I didn't like, and then the paint, you know, I'm still like kind of learning how to paint, right? And I feel like, 3D programs let you do that a lot easier, and I just really took to it. Learned back in college, but like now I'm like full force into it, and I really, really like it. And I hope you guys like my interpretation as well. And there it is.
Oh, it worked. Wait. Ah! That took a lot longer than I'd like to admit. The actual setup took forever. So when I finally got it working, I finally got the printer moving, felt like a huge accomplishment. So now with the printer properly assembled, placed, leveled, I was able to do the most important step, the googly eye step. I've been wanting to do this for a while. Oh nice, there's hair in it. So this little guy got a few different name suggestions. I like Gary, I don't know why. Gary the Great. Googly-eyed Gary, guys. He's just trying his best. He does his best. He actually does more than his best. For some reason, Gilbert got suggested 3 times independently, like just out of random coincidence. But I don't want to name him Gilbert. I don't know what I got against the name Gilbert. Googly-eyed Gilbert works too, I don't know. But I like Gary. Why is Gary better? Okay, anyway. So the first print I finally did on Gary, we're keeping that. The first print I did on Gary was the first time I'd ever printed anything, and it didn't really go as expected. I decided to print out the Borzoi head first because the head and body are separate pieces. I heard there were issues sometimes with prints not sticking properly to the print bed, which can affect the print as you're starting. You're supposed to usually watch it as it starts to make sure nothing amiss happens. And the first print I did, well, Gary was trying his best, but the filament was not sticking to the print bed. So I thought I'd eliminate the first possibility, which was the filament wasn't adhering to the print bed properly. So Elegoo does include this glue stick that helps this problem. So I placed the glue on and I ran it again, and I had a very similar problem show up. So after just looking it over, looking at the design again, I realized that this design definitely needs supports. And supports in printing are basically like a lot of extra print filament is used all around the actual print itself to print parts that are impossible to do without the support. I think if I took a second and kind of logically thought about it, there's no way to print the ears from bottom to top without support. So once I realized that, I added support structure, I added adhesion structure, which is like a whole base on the print bed. And then it really did work, so third time is a charm. It used a lot of extra filament, but it is the only way possible to actually print this design out. It was a really cool process to watch. I looked at it for about 15 minutes while I was going, and then I let it kept running. It took, I think, a total about 40 minutes. And what's a really cool feature about this 3D printer, which happened to me, is right when the print was about to finish on the Borzoi head, I ran out of filament. And not all 3D printers can do this, but I was able to exchange the filament out very easily and finish the sculpt, which was just like the very tops of the ears. That's due to the filament detector at the top of the machine. So that's a great addition already. So here's the Borzoi head all finished printing. It was relatively easy to peel off. And I found the structures around the Borzoi to be a little bit difficult to remove. Just with your hands, so I used a pair of pliers, and once you twist it, it just pops right off. And it's kind of crazy because there is no indication anywhere on the sculpt where the actual supports were adhering to. It easily tears off and doesn't leave any residue or anything. went flying. This is so cool! So with a successful first print with the head, I went back and printed out the body. And now knowing what we figured out the first time, I went and added supports, and this was a smaller piece, so it was pretty quick process to print. I think it took about 25 minutes. Similarly, remove the support. A lot easier to do with pliers. Now something that's genius is Sunny has started doing ball and socket neck joints for her 3D sculpts. So it kind of mimics the bobblehead you would get on a usual Littlest Pet Shop. This also means it's a lot easier to sand this because I can just remove the head, remove the body, sand them separately. So just kind of a cool feature. It's sculpted perfectly to the point where it clips in, like it's enough that you push it in, it clips in, it stays in, but you can also take it out pretty easy. So the big difference between like the printer I'm using and a resin printer is the line residue that's left over. So a lot of sanding is required for an object this small. So I just used basically all the sanding materials I had. I wet sanded, I dry sanded, and just went over and over on the base. Just trying to smooth out any ridges or divots that were particularly noticeable. And then I saw this online, this trick that you use wood filler and you mix it with acetone and you create a sort of paint paste. And it's supposed to smooth over, fill in gaps left over from the 3D print. I think this is really smart. I think personally I wouldn't do it again. It was just a test, but I found that the actual wood filler kind of didn't stick in certain spots, so it kind of just created little tiny crumbs and pieces on the custom that made it a little bit more difficult in some ways to smooth out. I know it did fill in some places, but I think this is a trick that's better for maybe like a larger object. Little miniatures are less forgiving with small imperfections like this, so. Since that didn't really work out how I wanted to, I did my method. So you can still kind of see places where the lines are. And I kind of want to get this color uniform, so I'm going to go ahead and mix together a mixture of Mod Podge and paint and some water. This is also the way that Sunny recommended to smooth out the crevices, is just Mod Podge. And I found this way better, like a way better technique, so I would recommend this way if you're going to do this. So I just did a very thick coat all over the Borzoi, both body and head, a few times, and then kind of for a pretty thumbnail shot, I went back over with a lighter gray paint just to clean everything up, make sure everything looked smooth. And this is the final test 3D printed Borzoi. If you actually got this on Sunflower Pet Shop's website, it's going to be a lot more detailed actually. I believe those are specifically resin print, and the benefit of a resin printer is it's kind of like crisp quality. You don't need to sand it, or if you do, it's very minimal. But I think, all things considered, this is kind of crazy incredible quality, and I'm so hyped to paint this one. I have a few things planned to modify this base actually before I paint it, because it's going to be a specific character. I'm going to actually be getting this character to have a bobbly head, even though I love the ball and joint. We're going to actually put a neck plug in, and we are going to do some body modifications, adjust her, mold and cast her, but you'll have to come back for part 2 to see the rest of this. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you again, Elegoo, for sponsoring this video. They made this whole video possible. Sunny made this whole video possible by sculpting the Borzoi. So please check out Sunflower Pet Shop as well. And I hope you all have a wonderful day, and thanks for crafting with me. I'll see you for part 2, guys. It'll come out later this month.